What's up, everyone? We told you guys this is the week of opportunity, and it has been a great week so far. We had a bunch of banger plays in yesterday's video. I know a bunch of people banked in the StockedUp Discord today, and we're just getting started, baby. It's only Tuesday. So for today's video, we're going to go over some awesome setups in the market right now and some big news you will not want to miss. But Tom, we're not wasting any time today. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, Mike, the overall market ended up really popping back to the upside today, and we've had a pretty significant pullback over the past week or so I'm not really too surprised to see a little pullback here. We ran right up into this resistance around 436.80 to 437. I'll definitely be watching this area heading into tomorrow, see if we break out or if we end up falling back down. And there were a few stocks today that really popped up. Like we had Boeing exploding. We also had Unity moving to the upside in a big way. And we even had a lot of VIX call option buying that we saw today, Mike. I know that we keep talking about VIX calls, and it's just so surprising to see the calls coming in that high, especially with SPY, kind of ripping back up today. I'm surprised people are still trying to buy that here.
Exactly. So looking at the market right now, like you said, it hit a pretty decent day, but over the past week or so, it has been a little bit shaky. And I saw some data from Deutsche Bank lately that is kind of scary. What we can see on the screen right now is a chart showing the Deutsche Bank recession probability for the next 12 months, and it is nearing 100% right now. They've been pretty spot on lately. They called the recession right ahead of the 2020 disaster, and right then right ahead of the great financial crisis in 2008 and 2009, and it's nearing 100% right now again. And that's basically saying Deutsche thinks that we have a very strong chance of recession coming within the next year.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Mike, to see that number being that high and to see that the last time it was this high was before 2000, right at 2008, 2009, that is pretty insane to see. And I'm just really worried right now. Powell even said that we're expecting to have a mild recession in the later parts of this year. And we're actually expected to have rate hikes at the next meeting in July. So be ready for that as we go forward here over the next month or so. But I don't know, Mike, maybe rate hikes will send us back down a little bit more. I know the market did pretty well so far this year with rate hikes, though, so it's hard to say for me. But yeah, that's a pretty scary thing to see Deutsche Bank having the probability that high. It should be very, very worrisome, and that's probably why we're seeing, such big volume on those VIX calls. We have those VIX calls. The volume here is insane to the upside right now, Mike, and it's really no surprise for me. We have Nvidia, so many stocks, Apple, Microsoft, Google, really overextended, and they just keep going up. Even today, some of those stocks kept going, but I don't know, Mike. I feel like as that recession comes in later this year, I think we'll finally start to move back down a little bit more.
If you're a bear, this chart is like a Christmas present for you. It basically confirms that a lot of other institutions and, big money traders are, protecting themselves right now, because the only reason you'd be trading call options on VIX is if you think there's a chance things can get nasty. For those of you who don't know, basically the VIX goes up when things are bad. Like we could see the VIX exploded when COVID happened, and basically any and every other time there was a significant market dip. And, whenever the VIX goes up, the market tanks down pretty hard, and people are loading up on VIX calls right now.
Yeah, exactly. I actually just added the SPY onto the chart so you guys can see it. You can see like right here in the yellow how the SPY started dipping down. We had that big move up with VIX. They really do inverse each other. You can even see it right now how VIX has been going up and, SPY's been going up and VIX has been kind of tanking down towards this lower area. Mike, I know there was actually Sharon in the Discord today was talking about VIX call options. She's going to be really happy seeing that chart like that. That's actually pretty good there for anyone who's into VIX calls right now, obviously. And you would think that this is a lot of big hedge funds, a lot of people like that, and even like some big players just trying to hedge big positions out there. And even if like they're not taking profits on some of the bigger stocks, it's still really smart to get some hedges sometimes. And I'm not saying to get VIX calls necessarily, but over the next month or couple months, it's going to be very important to time some of these hedge plays, I think, and even just getting put options is a good way to go. We keep talking about Meta, Nvidia, stocks like that. I'm not saying to get them yet, like right away, but it's starting to look pretty enticing, at least yesterday. Today, though, there was quite the recovery.
There we go. So while there is some fear with the market overall, I'll tell you one thing. There is not any fear with Unity stock right now. This thing is up 15%, and basically what happened is that they announced an AI marketplace which will allow them to make games faster, cheaper, and better, and anything to do with AI lately has been all the hype. Basically, you mention AI on an earnings call and your stock doubles, unfortunately. But, Unity stock announced this news and the market just loved it today. Looking at Unity, it was literally just a straight ride up all day long.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, that 1 minute chart today is fantastic. There was even like a little wedge play or flag there in the middle of the day. Had a nice pop up above that. I know we were posting that in the Discord a little bit, and it just really ran. I mean, 42.50. Sheesh, Mike. I can't believe it because the bot called this baby out early on today, like very early on this morning. So to see this thing just run up this much blew my mind, and it ran right up into resistance, which is funny. I've had this resistance on the chart here for a little while. You can see there's been a couple big hits right off of this 42 to 43 area. And of course, that's right where we end up today. So I'll be watching this for tomorrow. If it breaks above that resistance, I think we can definitely continue up. But that bot play today, Mike, was amazing.
You know it. So if you are into short-term trading, pay attention to this. Our bot called out Unity call options today at $125 each. $125 each, and by the end of the day, those same call options were trading for $320 each. I know a bunch of people banked off these, so if you're into short-term trading, check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. You'll get access to our bots and a bunch of other great tools you won't find anywhere else. You can see people banked off of it today. We have other bots too, like SM Bot and Bot Stats, that also had multiple, I was going to say 100% plus gainers today, but we have a 207%, 225% plus gainer with Coinbase and a 231% gainer with FedEx. So if you want in on the action, check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. You can cancel it anytime, and it's awesome for short-term traders. But back to Unity for 1 second, Tom. What I find interesting about this stock is it has all-time highs of around $210 that it made in like November of 2021, and it has lows of around let's call it $20 that it made in, what is that, the end of 2022, and right now it's lingering right around 43. Plus it has that pretty good AI hype. I don't think this one is necessarily a bad stock right now, even for a swing. Like, when you have AI news in this market, we've seen some multi-week and multi-month runners. So, even though it popped up a lot today, I think it's still worth watching over the next couple of weeks and months.
I really do too, and I think if it starts to break this resistance, we could start to come up, retest 47.50, which would be a nice 5-point pop from where we are now. That would be great for some options, maybe even $50 over the next couple weeks. That would be amazing. $50 seems like a pretty big resistance from the past, so maybe those could be a couple targets if you guys were looking to trade this. And it seems like it's definitely in that nice stair step type of pattern. If we can break this resistance, it seems like there has been a few hits, so I feel like this time might finally be where we get through here.
Perfect. And I hope you guys have your seatbelts on, because we're about to talk about two crazy stocks right now. The first one being Lucid. So LCID had a decent day yesterday, but even a better day today. And it had great news, as we talked about in yesterday's video, with their deal between them and Aston Martin. And stock's coming back up right now as news just came out that the Saudi Public Investment Fund dumped a ton of money into Lucid shares right now. It was like $1.2 billion worth of Lucid shares. The Saudi Public Investment Fund owns a ton of Lucid, and they're clearly very bullish on it. And, this is great news to see if you're a Lucid shareholder.
Yeah, it really is. I just cannot believe how much is going into this right now. They have a 60.5% majority ownership stake there. That is just utterly insane to me, Mike. They own 60.5% of Lucid at this point. And, the Saudi Arabia PIF is no joke. They have ties to Live Golf, obviously. They have ties to a whole bunch of things. And Mike, I was actually looking up some stuff about him. I don't want to have a history lesson here with everybody, but it's kind of like a Berkshire that, helps the government make more money. And in a lot of ways, you would think that they're able to have a ton of funds, and you would think being Saudi Arabia with how they talk about oil, near unlimited funds. So this is definitely huge for Lucid, and you would think that this would definitely drive some buying into Lucid here over the next couple months. Lucid stock is so low right now. It was all-time lows that they just recently hit. So I feel like a lot of investors might start running in here with this news, Mike, specifically because of the PIF news. I don't even think the Aston Martin deal is going to be that big. That's a very, specialized car company. It's not like Ford or GM or anything, but this PIF news could be really big.
When you see the Saudi Public Investment Fund owning over 60% of the company and then buying, let's just call it 1.8, you could call it $2 billion if you want to, worth of the stock right now, that should be a warning sign. Nothing's guaranteed in life, but hey, the stock's pretty low right now. It has good momentum, and I think it's definitely worth watching very closely over the coming weeks.
Yeah, and we have some members in the Discord that have some insane amount of shares of Lucid. I heard some numbers today that were blowing my mind. So I'm hoping it goes up. It's one of those EV stocks that's really been lagging lately. You go look at Rivian, some of the others, they've actually done a little bit better. Like if you go to some daily charts, they're not necessarily making brand new lows, at least this week. They were back in April and May, but they've been doing a little bit better lately. So I'm glad to see the EV stocks coming around a little bit more. And I feel like, Mike, the big money is going to start flowing into some of these smaller stocks as these bigger stocks like Apple start to fall as well.
You know it. And just when our viewers thought we couldn't talk about any stocks that are more crazy right now than Lucid, we have one, and that's SPCE, Tom. So this stock had some pretty crazy movement the other week after they announced some news. Fill us in what's going on with this stock and why do we have to pay attention to it?
Calling all space cadets, Mike. Remember back whenever this stock was popping up back in the past? We had some pretty good plays actually on this one. I remember I got in pretty low a couple times, and this thing exploded until it finally fell off there as some of those launches went haywire. But they're finally going to be having their commercial launches coming into play here, and we've talked about this over the past couple of weeks a little bit, but it's actually coming on June 29th, so be ready that morning. It's set for a few different times here. They're talking about 9 a.m. local time in Mexico, 1600 General Mountain Time for anybody wondering there. But it's going to be a pretty big event, Mike. It's their first commercial space flight. If anything goes wrong, I don't know. Be prepared for the worst. I'd hate to say it, Mike, but you never know with these things. If the weather stops the launch or something, it could definitely slow down the volatility. And looking at the stock today, it definitely started popping up a little bit. So keep this on the radar. I feel like it could definitely move up over the next couple days. And heading into these launches in the past, we've definitely seen huge explosions before.
That's the thing. So it's like if you are willing to trade an extremely volatile stock, SPCE is worth watching, but like we said, it's super volatile, so if you can't handle the heat, then get out of the kitchen right now. Don't even touch it. But, if this stock moves in some giant ways, we've seen this thing, double or triple or even quadruple in some cases before. So keep it on a close watch. But Tom, we also had some pretty crazy news with the housing market, and it's not like these growth stocks moving to the upside. As we can see, U.S. home prices are falling by the largest amount annually since December of 2011. So that's obviously not necessarily a good sign, but it's not horrible either because we do need inflation to slow down. So housing prices are down around 3.1%, like on average year over year, which, like I said, is the largest drop since 2011. And I know rents are going hand in hand with this. So I just thought it was interesting. And, it's good to check in on the real estate market every now and then.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's very interesting to see it down that much year over year. Biggest reduction since 2011. I will say, though, Mike, with how much they've been going up over the past few years, they could probably still go down a little bit more. I don't know. It definitely seems like a lot, but they have been on the rise so much the past few years. I know a lot of people have been waiting to buy for prices to start to fall and stuff, so that's good to see. I know yields and interest rates, though, are still just up there so high that it's like, geez, like I know a lot more buyers will come in if we ever get back down to, 2 to 3% 30-year mortgages, Mike. I couldn't even believe that we were that low for a little while.
Yeah, now mortgages are sitting at 7 to 8% or even higher in some cases. So it's been a crazy economy over the past couple years. But I do have a little bit of good news, Tom, for everyone. So ahead of the 4th of July weekend, it looks like your 4th of July cookout will cost you less this year. Surprise, surprise. After all the brutal inflation, it looks like we're actually set to see some of these prices calm down a little bit, which is a good thing. But unfortunately, it looks like we're only seeing like a 3% drop from last year's prices.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like the housing prices. That's pretty funny. Very close there, right around 3%. Obviously, hamburgers and housing prices are awfully different, but that is pretty funny, Mike. I'm curious maybe how the fireworks are on pricing. I'll tell you what, those fireworks are pretty damn expensive nowadays.
Oh yeah, to say the least. So good stuff there. But Tom, let's get right into some setups for tomorrow. And I don't even think you guys need me to say this one, but I'm watching Lucid very closely. Obviously, it had some solid news yesterday with Aston Martin. Has some good news with the Saudi investment fund. Great momentum right now. Great price action. I just think overall there's a great risk-reward setup with this one. And I'll be watching it to the upside very closely for the rest of this week and even, the weeks coming.
Yeah, I like it too. It has a lot of good momentum here, and that move up today was fantastic. And with the news, man, this is definitely going to be one of my favorite stocks, I have a feeling, for the next couple weeks, Mike. I don't know about you, but yeah, Boeing here is actually going to be my first play of the day. Man, they are popping up in after hours like something out of this world here, and they were already up pretty well today, considering how much they've been dropping lately. I'm going to watch them for a breakout play tomorrow. If they can break out above 212, I'm going to watch for a possible continuation. I've been watching Boeing the past couple weeks. They've been falling back down after moving up lately, and I'm watching that recovery. So I'll definitely keep it on the radar. It has good momentum in after hours, and it's a little bit more of an outlier. We haven't mentioned Boeing in a few weeks.
Yeah, there we go. It's good to check in on it every now and then. I wouldn't even call it a slow mover, Tom. It's just like it has its moments. Like sometimes Boeing's like, you know what? I'm gonna do good. Or I'm gonna do horrible today. But a lot of other times, just like I'm gonna do nothing. I'm gonna fake everyone out. So good stuff there. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is good old NEO. I know some people love this stock. Some people want to crush it. But anyways, it had a pretty good day today. It's up around 11%. Good volume, good momentum, good price action. It's somewhat similar to Lucid as it is in the same industry and the charts are kind of similar. So I will also be watching this one to the upside for tomorrow and the rest of the week.
Yeah, we had that recent big money play on it as well. So I'm sitting here watching it. That's very interesting to see, those NEO 10 strike calls, obviously for next year. So I'm watching that. That could maybe be a pretty good play, 10 strike, a little bit out of the money right now. Maybe a good one to, follow. I know some of these big money plays have been popping off a ton recently, so keep it on the radar. I like NEO as well, Mike. It's one of those growth stocks that definitely had a lot of momentum today. And, I know we already talked about SPCE, but I got to mention it here again. Calling the Space Cadets, this could be a pretty good play, especially even like risk-reward ratio-wise, Mike. I found a pretty good support here, right around $4 even. If you're looking at this stock and you think it could do pretty well on some of these launches, you might be able to buy it here around 438, maybe 440, 450 in the morning, maybe even, and have a stop loss down under $4, but maybe target, $5.50 or $6. Have a nice like 2, 3, maybe even 4-to-1 risk-reward ratio if you can let it run a little bit more. I know these launches have went crazy before, but it's going to be a crazy play, Mike. Like you said, you have to have some balls of steel on this one, to say the least. I mean, that is a very volatile stock.
You know it. But with that being said, Tom, let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And with the first one, we have Roblox to the upside.
Yeah, this one's fantastic. I love this one as well. Make it break above 42.20 tomorrow to the upside.
And with the next one, we have Coinbase also to the upside.
This was like almost everybody's favorite today. It just kept exploding. Bitcoin was doing pretty well too. Go ahead and make him break out above $70.50.
And with the last one, we have Google in both directions.
GOOGL, pretty bad move down in after hours. Wow, that's pretty rough to see there. But if they can get under 117, which is pretty big support from this morning, go ahead and look at puts to the downside. If they can break the high of day right around 119.10, then go ahead and look at those calls.
Sounds great. So we have that upside level on Google. If it breaks above that, we're watching it for calls. We have the downside level as well. If it breaks below that, we're watching it for puts. And then you can't forget about good old Coinbase and Roblox. If they break above their upwards levels, we are also watching these ones for calls. But it is now time for my favorite part of the video, which is the big money trade of the day. We have a $1.48 million trade on none other than American Airlines, ticker symbol AAL. Someone dumped $1.48 million into the AAL 16 strike call options that expire on August 18th of 2023. If you don't understand how options work, this is essentially a betting that AAL will rise a lot in the future. Right now, the stock is around $17.35. Looking at the stock, it's still very, very low in the grand scheme of things. This stock has, you could say, highs of just under $60 a share that it made back in 2018. It has lows from the COVID crash of $8 that it made in 2020. And right now it's around, we'll call it mid-17s. I know the travel industry has been picking up a lot lately, which is great to see. And I just think the overall risk-reward setup with this one's pretty good. And, if someone's straight up betting, let's call it $1.5 million that this stock's about to run in a nice way.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of money, Mike. That's especially for something like AAL. If this thing starts to really go here over the next couple months, obviously into August, that's going to be a big move because that's already in the money at the 16 strike calls. They're going to see some insane gains if we see some breakouts like up to like $19 or $20. So keep it on the radar. And it's also like right at a big resistance level, right around the 1750 area. And I would think maybe it could break. There's so many stocks right now that we talked about in tonight's video right at these big recent resistances. And it looks like a lot of them are set to break here. So I'm hoping that the big money here is right, Mike. And I'm hoping that they end up making a lot because I might follow this one if it breaks out here over the next couple days. It seems like these travel stocks have done great, whether it's the airlines or the cruise lines. They've all been popping. I know CCL's even been pretty hot too.
Yeah, you guys follow these big money plays. The GT one from yesterday worked great so far. I heard from a bunch of people today that they crushed it. Someone dumped, let's call it $714,000 into yesterday's play, and the stock's up over 4% today. So that's awesome. So make sure to keep these on close watch. And if you want to get first access to these trades, check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. You'll also get access to our bot that we talked about earlier in the video. The Unity play that just exploded. It went from what was that? $125 all the way up to $320. You also get access to these big money trades on the same day the trade is made, but before the market closes. So that's absolutely giant. Join in on the action, and in the worst case scenario, you can cancel at any time, but it's going to be that first link in the description in the comments down below. But Tom, are you holding anything out from us? Do you have any final thoughts, any final setups before we close out?
We still do have to talk about a little bit coming up here. We had Walgreens report earnings today. Tomorrow is Micron and BlackBerry. So if you're looking to gamble a little bit this week on earnings, I don't know, Micron might be the way to go. Whether you're getting calls or puts, it's going to be risky. I don't recommend doing it, but I know everybody out there loves to gamble a little bit. So if you're interested, those will probably be the stocks to look at. Nike's on Thursday, so we'll talk about that one a little bit more tomorrow. Powell is actually set to speak tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. in the morning, so be ready for that. It's going to be a fairly lackluster event, in my opinion. That's why we saved this for the end of the video. But other than that, Mike, I'm really just waiting for some of these bigger moves. There's so many great stocks that have been running up a lot lately, and I'm really happy to see some of these smaller beaten down stocks move a little bit more, like Lucid, Neo, stocks like that. It's good to see him finally getting some momentum back. Man, Lucid with that PIF news today, that is huge. Like, I might actually pick up a few hundred shares of this one over the next few weeks.
Sounds great. So I hope you guys are ready for this week. It's been great so far, and I think there will be, continued great movement throughout the rest of the week. Even if you haven't had any great plays yet, keep your head up high. Know that, tomorrow's a new day. Trade discipline, follow those support and resistance lines, trade in a disciplined way. Keep your head up high, and let's have a great rest of the week. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and let's crush it.